Alright, what's up guys? Vivi back with another video covering Nefeltari Vivi. Lots of alliteration there. Vivi covering Nefeltari Vivi in today's video, right? A little bit of a tongue twister for y'all, a little bit of fun there. But yeah, today guys, we're going to be checking out this red-blue leader. A lot of people want to see this deck work, and I get it. It's a really cool leader. The effect is awesome, drawing a card, giving cards rush, but it just doesn't quite have all the tools it needs yet, or does it? So in today's video, this is from OP07, but, you know, just to give you guys some inspiration, there's not a lot of cards that are, there's not a lot of cards that are missing from the deck. You know what I mean? Like, that are in EB01 and OP07. Most of this deck is something we can put together OP06 and before. So let's go ahead and dive into this, guys. We're going to be doing a deck tech, looking at this deck. And for the cards that are not available to us, like Ors Jr. here and Boa Hancock, we're going to talk about some potential options to replace it, and maybe I had an idea for something that we might be able to mess with later for the deck and the future direction of the deck, or who knows, maybe this is figured out to a great extent and maybe not much needs to change. So let's go ahead and dive in. First, I'm going to read through the list, and then we're going to talk about each card individually for the most part. So Vivi is the leader. 4 Otama, 4 Sanji, 4 Marco, the 5 cost, 4 Shanks, 4 Shiraya, 4 Little Ors Jr., 4 Blue Borsalino, 4 Pudding, 4 Boa Hancock, 4 Radical Beam, 4 Bad Manners Kick Course, 2 Gum Gum Rain, and 4 Gravity Blade Raging Tiger. So, I mean, you know, this deck is pretty straightforward. It's pretty clean. Every single card is a 4 of, except for the 2 of Gum Gum Rains, because that ends up being 50 on the dot, right? When you have, what is it, 14 4 ofs, then a single 2 of, that ends up being 50, if I did my math right there. So it's only running 8 2K counters, but look at all the 0 cost, and look at all the 0 cost 3Ks and the rad beams here. So 4 Radical Beams, 4 Kick Course, Bad Manners Kick Course, and 2 of the Gum Gum Rains. Realistically, it's running about 10 defensive events and 8 2K counters. So it really does have quite a bit of defensive gas to it. You know, like it can hang in there. Quite a few of these cards are still 1K counters. Like, you know, you got Marco, you've got Shiraya, Little Ors Jr., and Pudding. They all have 1K counters already on them. But it does have a lot of cards that don't have counters, right? When it comes to Borsalino, when it comes to Boa Hancock, Shanks, and of course these 4 Gravity Blade Raging Tigers. Ultimately, the only cards we don't have access to over in the West at the time of me recording this video, because remember, on Friday, OP06 will be legal for us over in the West. I believe it's this Friday, right? Because we had pre-release last Friday, so it should be this Friday. All these cards are legal, unless your locals does it differently, or unless I'm misunderstanding something. So the only cards we don't have are Boa Hancock, which we'll talk about in a second, and Little Ors Jr. So this card, this is a very unique effect that we can't really reproduce currently. Like with this, I mean, maybe you can go like a 4 cost 5K Marco blocker, but then you don't have any White Dread Pirates to trash to protect it. Again, this is the hardest effect to reproduce, but a 6 cost 7,000 power body with 1K counter, we can easily get a 6 cost 8K with a 1K counter if needed. Like, that vanilla does exist. I'm pretty sure it exists for red or blue. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it does exist. So that won't be hard. Even if you replace this with a 5 cost 7,000 power 1K counter, you're actually getting the same value at 1 cost less, but you're losing that resilient effect, which again, we can't get this yet until EB01. And then for this card here, Boa Hancock, you know, let me bring up on the side here, excuse me, the card that I would recommend replacing this with. Again, currently, if you want to try the list out, it's about the best that we have, and it's not as good, but it's the best option we have, and it's this card here. Let me bring this over. There we go. So this is Isho from OP05. It's a Navy card. It's a 6 cost 6K blue card, Navy, like I said, and on play, up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 7 or less cannot attack until the start of your next turn. And again, that's what this Boa Hancock does, by the way. Up to one of your opponent's characters, other than Luffy, cannot attack until the end of their next turn. Or I think it's till the start of your next turn, so I think it's the way it should be worded. It does have the added effect of then place up to one cost 1 or less character on the bottom of its owner's deck. That part's okay. Like, that is nice. Obviously, it's free value, or however you'd say that. It's completely free. But the main effect is locking down their character. You know, typically speaking, we don't worry about 1 cost cards. They're not really a threat. They can be used, to swing for lethal, of course, but that's not the main part of this character. The main part of this character is it's a 6-cost 8k body, so a vanilla 6-cost 8k body, and instead of having the 1k counter, it has this incredible effect to lock down one of your opponent's characters, and then potentially get rid of like one of their little one-cost searchers. So again, we don't quite have the replacement for this card, but it, the closest thing we have to it is this E-Show, where it is a, on play up to one of your opponent's characters with the cost of 7 or less cannot attack. So yeah, it can't hit anything, but it can hit stuff that matters. Anything 7 or under, that's a Hody Jones. That was 7 or under, right? Yeah, cost of 7 or less. So, I mean, you can hit Hody Jones with that. You can hit the 7-cost purple Germa 66 guy with that. What else? I mean, there's quite a few targets. Everything under that, too. Like any 4-cost, 5-cost characters. It doesn't hit the targets we really would like. Like Yakamoria. That would be nice. But it hits pretty much everything else other than those really, really big cards. And again, it's just a replacement for the time being until we can get access to a card like this for the people who do want to play red-blue Vivi going forward. This is a really interesting, cool list, guys. And it is, I would say this is a list worth giving a try if you like these color combinations. And it beat some good leaders. It beat Yamato, Enel twice, and Bonnie. And again, this is in the OP07 format. Now, of course, we have no idea how good the players are at this local or whatever SB stands for over in Japan. But I can imagine they're fairly decent, fairly competent players. And they probably didn't expect to go against a deck like this. Because notice what they're doing. Okay, look at their odd curve. They have like an odd curve removal and then an even curve. Not quite even curve removal, but it's got a good curve to it. Because you have turn 3, Marco, into turn 4, Borsellino. So pop a 3K, and then pop, an 4-cost, bottom deck it. And then on the even curve, you have answers with cards like Boa Hancock, who's a 6-cost 8K, and Shanks, which is a 10-cost 12K that can pop almost anything in the game. There's only a few cards that Shanks can't KO just, with a 10,000 power or less. But yeah, for that... Speaking of which, I'm surprised they're not running any red rocks to just get rid of anything they need, that Shanks can't hit. Because Shanks, this card seems incredible. I mean, guys, it is a 10-cost 12K. That alone is already on par for a vanilla card. Then when you play it, instead of having the 1K counter, when you play it, you can pop anything that's 10,000 power or less. That's most of the cards in the game, right? So just very, very relevant effect. You can't give it rush with your leader because you don't have enough Dawn in one turn, but every single other card you see on here that's a character, you can give rush to. So, again, this deck looks really strong. It looks really fun. The 2K counters, I get the Otama. This can help you pop things with your Marco, and I think that's it. But the Sanji is probably just more of a tech utility type of card. I'm not exactly sure. I get the 4 Rad Beams. I'm actually surprised they're not running that Happiness Punch, because Happiness Punch is something like exclusive to Nefeltari Vivi. Nefeltari Vivi, however you say that. And let me just bring it on the screen real quick. And I do think, I think it's one of the better defensive cards out there. Let me bring it over. So this is Happiness Punch. It is a 1-cost counter and give up to one of your opponent's leader or character cards minus 2,000 power during this turn. Then, if your leader is active, which of course ours will be, give up to one of your opponent's leader or character cards minus 1,000 power during this turn. So you can either, for 1 cost, you can give minus 3,000 to one guy, or give minus 2,000 to one guy and minus 1,000 to another. That's just a very versatile, strong defensive event, and I really do like that event. And I'm surprised they didn't try that. One other thing I'm surprised they didn't try, or, well, I don't know. I did already mention the 6-cost Red Rock. I was going to say I'm surprised they didn't try Houndblaze or Amano Murakuma Sword for more blue removal. But this Gravity Blade Raging Tiger is just awesome. Because I wish it hit a 7 or less. Obviously, with it being 7 cost, that would be too powerful. But man, hitting a 6 or less, that hits a lot of stuff. It lets you kind of ignore the beginning of the game, just play out a pudding. Just mess up their hand and play out a pudding just so you can mess up their hand. And then you can just follow up the next turn, or it might be 2 turns in the future. Just boom, get rid of 2 of their characters. Like get rid of a 4-cost blocker and like a 5-cost something or other, a 6-cost speeder. Very, very powerful removal. And I really want to use this card more often. I think this card's insanely powerful. Absolutely insanely powerful. It's running Shariah. This is one of the new blockers from OP06. We have access to this now over in the West. 3 cost 4K, 1K counter, blocker that can match your opponent's leader's power. So you just have to 1K counter out every single time. Really, really versatile character. It's good defensively so that you can stand behind this as a wall. And then offensively, you can turn on the gas and go at their leader, you know, very easily. So yeah, you guys tell what y'all think in the comment section below. Did I miss anything? Do you guys have any recommendations for what to replace Little Oars Jr. with and Boa Hancock with for the time being? Because, like I said, this entire deck we can make currently in the West, but we don't have access to Little Oars Jr. yet or Boa Hancock. The Boa, I would suggest replacing with the Isho. Like I said, it's at least a close enough effect to give this deck a try and see how it works. And then, honestly, with Little Oars Jr., you might want to go a 5 cost 7K or a 6 cost 8K. Because I think that, you know, well, I know there's a 6 cost 8K. And, yeah, you know, there's a lot of options there. The Borsalino's nice, of course. Yeah, we already talked about him. And, yeah, I think that about wraps it up, guys. Of course, I always have to mention this as well. This is one of the most toxic cards ever printed, in my personal opinion. On the sim, I like to practice on the sim, or I just like to play on the sim. You know, when I'm bored, try out new decks, try out new ideas. And this character, I've been hit with this character when I've had like 8, 9, 10 cards in hand, and it's just like it's basically game over at that point. I almost wish this card wasn't printed, but it is a very powerful effect, and it's probably necessary in some ways, like in one way or another. So very, very strong. And this deck runs 4 of them. It's like, I'm just going to keep drawing cards with my leader's effect, and I'm just going to keep making you recycle your hand or like reshuffle your hand, completely mess up your game plan and all that. Just incredible. Okay, well, that's about it, guys. Y'all tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. One last thing I will mention before hopping off here is the meta over in the East for OP07 is looking wild. Like, yeah, still a lot of yellow stuff. Got Enel, got some Katakuri, Black Yellow Luffy. This is a list I really want to... Might have to do a video on this soon. Getting real excited about Black Yellow Luffy being so strong. Here's another showing of it. Boa Hancock is popping up. Blurple Reiju. Bonnie's doing really well. You know, just a lot of different stuff. I can't wait for the next major tournament over in the East, and I want to see what people are playing like in their next major, like which deck is going to win it all. All right, now I'm done ranting. Had to do one little last second rant at the end there. All right, guys, please don't forget to like, subscribe if you have not already, and until next time, peace.